So I wanted to start by asking how the commission for the Roundhouse came about.
Well, I was approached last summer, by Marcus Davey at the Roundhouse, and he wrote to me, and I went to see the space, and he kind of offered me the opportunity to propose an idea for the space. It was responding directly to the 24 columns in the room.
Yeah.
So one of the kind of eureka moments was that looking at the plans, I counted the columns, and there were 24 of them. I can't think of any other association other than the sort of measurement of time that 24 has. So it seemed like a perfect thing to turn the building into a perfect clock. Well, this is the sort of main hub of the piece. So it's got these bearings inside here that all turn counter direction to the last. So these are all independent of each other. So all these tubes rotate inside the last one. And then so this is the seconds, this is the minutes, and this is the hours. And then on the floor here we have the hours, and then the minutes and the seconds here. Each of these arms has a secondary and tertiary arm that sort of pulse in and out, which create these sort of shadows that sort of move in and out. So this is made of aluminium, it's very light and very strong, so it was perfect for making a sort of suspended piece that has a lot of mobile elements. This is a tertiary arm, and then on the end of that is a bulb like this. And it's an incredibly bright bulb. It's about 1,000 watts. There are 3 of these on the second, one on the seconds, one on the minutes, and one on the hours. So the only light source in the room will be these 3 shadows. So there are 3 lights. It'll be like a triple sun. So they'll create all this movement. But then crucially, in the center of the space, if I show you one of these maps. So the clock is going to be suspended in the center of the room, just slightly back from the central point. And it sort of hangs above you.
And that will be in the centre of the space?
Yeah, this is in the very, very centre of the space. It will be 4 meters high, and it will sort of come up as this sort of monolith in the centre. And then all the clock is above it like a sort of downturned sunflower, and it sort of faces it. It faces the centre of the axis faces the tip. So it's all the geometry is very much about that.
And so you only want to have kind of about approximately 20 people in the space at a time? So
Not just in the central space, because I think that if you imagine the way that the shadows will work on this, you'll have these really elegant darts that come out, recede and contract and expand. But if you imagine if you've got 100 people in the middle, you're not going to see the floor enough.
Yeah.
So when you reduce it down to 20, everyone will become their own gnomon. So they'll become their own shadow maker.
Yeah.
So depending on where they stand, you'll form these shadows that move and rotate around you. I think it was sort of trying to turn the clock, this very familiar, this very ubiquitous thing that the whole world uses to tell the time, back into something that was quite peculiar again. It's been really interesting looking at the history of timekeeping in the Mayans and the Egyptians and the ancient Greeks, and they all were very obsessed with this number 36 or 360. And they all wanted to ignore the fact that we have 365 and a quarter days in a year, and all wanted there to be 360 because it's so beautiful, because you can cut it into all these slices of 12 and 6 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. So you've got all these common denominators, whereas 365 has very little, and it was just messy. As a kid, when I was younger, I think as I've got older, it's been a progressive journey into realising how incomplete that one's perception is. And I think that the first eureka moments when you're a sort of early teenager or a kind of kid, it was those sort of things that, God, this isn't, my perception is really not total. And I don't actually see everything, I see very little. There is a real link between art and science, and we're all trying to see beyond what's visible.